Hi, welcome to Filmology. I'm Mariana, and today I'll be talking about my beef with The Revenant. So this is kind of a review, kind of a list of reasons why I don't think The Revenant should be getting as much praise as it's been getting, because The Revenant, it's kind of a weird film. People are really into it for reasons which I cannot comprehend. Mostly because it's not that great, and it's really kind of a silly story, and there's no emotional attachment to any of it. So I'm gonna sort of review it really quickly, and maybe by the end of it we'll all have agreed that The Revenant does not deserve to be Best Picture in the Academy Awards, even though in the end, who gives a shit about the Academy Awards? So let's go! First off, the first thing that popped into my head when I was thinking about making this video was, would The Revenant have been as, like, famous or lauded as it's been right now if there was no gimmick to it? Because in the end, you know, the shooting in extreme conditions and the Leo eating the real fish and the, you know, all of that stuff, it's kind of gimmicky. It's kind of, you know, kind of annoying and pretentious, and you could have done the same thing in a studio, like The Hateful Eight, for instance, and Red Letter Media cleverly pointed out that, you know, Kevin Costner didn't eat a real liver in Dances with Wolves, and he won an Academy Award all the same. So at what point is this film being praised because it was actually good, or because it was shot in extreme conditions? Because, you know, if we're giving awards to people who do things in extreme conditions, why doesn't Bear Grylls have a ton of Oscars? You know what I mean? So that's kind of my first point, and I think that should be kind of hanging over what we think of The Revenant, because it's not a great film. It's kind of a silly story. You know, it's a revenge plot, essentially. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's all about revenge, and it could have worked just as well as a survival film without the revenge thing. It would have been even more interesting. A guy who just wants to survive, but now it's like, no, we need to crawl back because I need to kill Fitzgerald because he killed my son because my wife is dead, blah 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 blah. And it's like, could you not sacrifice another female character for the sake of man pain? Ooh. You know, aren't you tired of sacrificing women for the sake of man pain? I am. Stop killing wives. Start killing husbands. You know, for women pain. I think we deserve a little bit of pain now. Woman pain. I'm gonna avenge my husband. Even better, lesbian pain. I'm gonna avenge my wife. Even better than that, wives fighting crime together. No revenge necessary. People just want to do things because it's good. They want to survive because it's good to survive, because then you're alive. They want to fight crime because crime is bad, and you want to fight crime because it's bad. It's not like, oh, a criminal has killed my wife, so I have to defeat them. Like, don't be Charles Bronson, man. Anyway, moving on. The worst thing for me, though, worse than the schmaltz, worse than anything else, was the terrible ADR. Because I work in a cinema, so I've seen this film 5 times, and every time I get a massive headache from having to experience the terrible, terrible ADR on the Native American language. Like, I don't know what they're talking. I think they're Pawnese or something, and they're speaking in their native dialect, which is fine, and they have subtitles, which is great, but you can clearly tell that their mouths are not moving to the words that are being said out loud, and that's incredibly frustrating. I don't know if it's something someone fucked up in the recording. I don't know if they decided to change the language last minute, because it's just crazy. It's so bad, and for such a big budget, you know, big movie, you'd expect, you know, it's almost like a boom mic's was gonna descend into the frame, and you're gonna, you know, see a dolly track in the bottom. It's just crazy. Speaking of dolly tracks, let's talk about the camera work. How rehearsed is that? Like, at least in Birdman you knew it was rehearsed because it was supposed to be, because it was one shot. It was one take. But in this, it looks like it was incredibly rehearsed. It doesn't look effortless. It just looks like someone painstakingly rehearsed every second of the camera movement. And it's really off-putting because I can't focus on the story when I'm seeing breath on my... It's just terrible. All the fourth wall breaking stuff with the camera was just the worst. Especially that last freaking shot with Leo looking right at the camera. How terrible is that? It was so bad. I hated that so much. Anyway, if you hear noises, it's my dog. She's running around and she's very loud. That's my dog. And she's very sniffly, so I apologize for that. Anyway, moving on to the fact that there's absolutely no emotional attachment to anything in that film. I mean, you don't grow to worry about Glass, you're just kind of hoping the movie ends. You know, like, I've seen people leave the cinema after, like, The Danish Girl, and they're like, they have like tears in their eyes and they're sniffling a little bit, and after Room they're like, oh, this is so sad. And even The Assassin, they're like, wow, this is an interesting story. In The Revenant, people just leave like, okay, that happened, that was 3 hours, alright then, it's gonna go home. There's no attachment, there's no, you know, interest in knowing and interest in accompanying these characters. It just, like, I was only upset about the Donald Gleason character because I like Donald Gleason. Like, I don't care about anyone else. I'm not a big fan of Leo. I think he's fine. He's not a character actor. He's Leo, so he doesn't really vanish, so he doesn't import the emotion that you need from a character like this. And he's too much of a can't do anything kind of guy, and that's kind of frustrating. There's no obstacles that he needs to overcome if he can do anything. If he can shoot a gun really well, if he can find all the paths, if he can cauterize his own wound, and then there's no difficulty. The only difficulty is that he's literally full of wounds that would have killed him 20 minutes into the film, but somehow he survives, which is weird and incredibly frustrating. Ugh. Anyway, my final point and my final reason why I dislike this film and why I'm baffled that, you know, that, I mean, one, that Alejandro Iñárritu made it because he's such a competent filmmaker, but two, that people are really enjoying it and saying that's such a competent film in terms of filmmaking, because it is, it's gorgeous, it looks really great, but the CGI is absolutely terrible. Like, the bear looks fine. You can clearly tell that it's a fake bear. It doesn't look realistic at all. Like, it looks like Aslam in Narnia. It doesn't look real. Like, when it's far away and when it's really up close, you can't tell. But when it's like sort of in frame, sort of when it's attacking him, there's a very uncanny thing about it that it looks unrealistic. But the worst thing in the entire film in terms of CGI is the buffalo. The buffalo look like a cartoon. They move and they kind of walk like this, and they don't have any substance to them. You know, there's sound of them walking and running, but there's no feeling to it. You can't, like in a film like The Lion King, for instance, you have the scene where all the bison are running, and that's the scene where Mufasa dies, and there's like it resonates deep, you know. It's not about sound, it's about vibration. There's no vibration, it's just sort of pop, 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 pop. So when the buffalo run, it's kind of like they're running on air, and it looks terrible. And the wolves attacking the buffalo, it's just the worst. It's bad CGI. Whoever was in charge of that. And at the end of the film, the end of the credits, there's like 15,000 people were working in this, and then the CG has like tons of people, and you're like, really, you have so many people working in this film and no one could do a good job at the CGI? Even Michael Bay has weight to his monsters and Transformers. It just seems a bit baffling to me that, you know, it's such a famous and popular film, and yet it's not at the quality that you would expect a film of this caliber to be. It's not even close to like Birdman. It's incredibly kind of dead. It's really blah. It's more of a look what we can do with natural light, or look how my camera moves, instead of, look, this film has substance to it and it means something. In the end, you're just sort of thinking, okay, what was I supposed to take from this? And the answer is nothing, or you can't have revenge, which makes the entire film absolutely pointless. So yeah, hopefully Room's gonna win the Oscar on Sunday, but it probably will be something like The Revenant. Because, you know, it's a big film, there's reasons. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!